We all open our eyes. And Stacy, I just read that your internet is unstable, so you can try going out and coming back on. Yeah, because that should be possible in case it really doesn't work for you. I would like for all of us to just bring our right arm straight out in front and then cross in front of our chest. Bring your left arm underneath, the left palm is facing back, and pull the shoulder, really pull on your shoulder. Stay here. See if you need to increase the pull or if you find a sweet spot there. Long, deep breathing. Inhale through your nose, exhale, open mouth. One more time. And we relax here. We bring our left arm in front and then over. Right arm underneath and pull. Really pull so that you open up your left shoulder. Inhale, nose, exhale, open mouth. Allow the breath to be full. Now hold on to both elbows. Rest your forearms on top of your forehead. Lean over to the left. Inhale to the left. Exhale to the right. Pull gently on your right elbow, just to increase the stretch a little bit more. Keep the sit bone connected. I always mention I inhale into my heart, and then I exhale to the right, I exhale out of my liver. Keep going a little bit more. It's wonderful to do these kind of stretches early in the morning. To open up the body, to unwind. One more time. Come to center, inhale, and just slightly arch back, not too much. Exhale and fold forward. Inhale, come back up. Tilt your tailbone, reach a little bit back, and exhale. Pull your navel towards your spine when you go forward. Open the chest and your lungs when you lean back. Exhale, squeeze all your digestive organs. When the elbows are above our ears, which they are in this moment, we're really supporting our stomach meridian and the stomach itself, so that we can stomach our life and all the experiences. Last 2 repetitions. Keep your arms overhead, go to the right, start big rotation, go over to the left, forward, to the right, lean back, Left exhale forward. Keep your lower triangle, the first, second chakra, really solid. And move your upper triangle. Heart, throat. Two more repetitions into this direction. Reverse. The last two repetitions. Good. Inhale, come to center. Now bring your left hand into your lap. Right arm, your upper arm touches your right ear, but we're not leaning into the arm. The arm reaches for the right ear. My palm is straight, facing to the left. Now I want you to inhale when you lean to the left. Just inhale and go slow. Hold the breath in for a moment. Exhale, gently come back up. And continue inhaling to the left. Exhale. So it's great for our vagus nerve, who is really accountable for so many tasks within our body. So it's good sometimes to just inhale here and to create space. Last 4 repetitions. Good, one more. And then we bring our right palm out to the right side. Exhale, slowly sweep. And right hand into your left. Left arm comes up. Left palm is facing to the right. Inhale over. So I keep my left sit bone connected to the chair beneath me. The last 5 repetitions. 1, 2, 3. Last 2. And come to center. I want us to interlace our fingers behind our neck, palms facing up. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, down. Inhale. Exhale. See that you're not tucking your chin in like this, but that you keep your head up. No matter how far you go down, just do your best. Keep your head nicely up. Last 3. After the third one, I want you to have the thumb tips touch, palms facing upward, arms as straight. Please close your eyes. Go into long, deep breathing for just a minute. Right now, you're activating your lung meridian, which goes all the way into your thumb. That'll be an equal in and exhalation. Good, last deep breath. And then your palms turn around, facing down. And bring your hands down to your lap. Palms facing upward. Rest your hands on your knees or your thighs. Straighten your spine. And you're ready for Nirmala.
Oh, I don't know how that something as simple as these stretches can tire me out so much. Okay, good morning, ladies. Namaskaram. As most of you know, I have arrived in India. I'm still in Delhi until tomorrow morning when I head south. I am in my favorite hotel, the Imperial Hotel in Delhi, in New Delhi, and enjoying it a lot. It's been really nice. So I am still acclimating to time, culture, language, and it is a wonderful way to really take a look at yourself when you move into a new culture. Desiree, you mentioned you're traveling this week, and City, you're on the road, and so many of us have been coming and going from different destinations, whether they're domestic or international. And it's such a great opportunity for us to really look at where we allow flow and where we become concretized, and we want to keep things the same. So we attempt to create a situation that looks similar, even though we're in an entirely different culture. And how do we let go? It's a great practice. So I'm practicing that tonight. So I wanted to share something with you about a trip I took yesterday. So one of my girlfriends here, Ashima, and I went to a city that's about 3 hours. It's a little south and mostly east from here. It's called Vrindavan, and it's known, Vrindavan is very famous for several things, but one of the very important things there is that a very famous guru, who many of you may have heard of, he took Mahasamadhi there. It's Guru Neem Karoli Baba, really beautiful man. He took Mahasamadhi, which is the yogic leaving of the choice of leaving the body at a certain time with full consciousness. And that was in 1973. So the site where that happened and where they attribute this total consciousness for him is in Vrindavan. So there's a real community of Guru Neem Karoli Baba's disciples and devotees. And so it's a really exciting place because there's just a lot of vibrancy from him, of having a guru in that area recently. I mean, 1973 is pretty recent for many of these gurus. He was a Western teacher to many Western individuals whose names you would recognize, who became spiritual teachers in their own right, such as Majaya, Ram Das, musicians Jay Uttal, Krishna Das, humanitarian Larry Brilliant, and scholar Yvette Rosser and Daniel Goldman. They were all early students in their spiritual journey of Guru Neem Karoli Baba. And then they came back to he sent them back to their Western roots, and they developed their own followings. And so he has tendrils that go into the United States and Western Europe that are very profound and deep. So you probably have seen, I was going to share a picture with you. Let me see if I can do that efficiently or not. Share my screen. I wanted to show you a picture because I suspect that you will recognize him. Let's see, is this screen, are you seeing him on your screen, anyone? I don't know if he shows up. Hold on, screen, basic. No, he's not showing up here today. That's okay. Let me not
There
share
he
that.
is. You can see him now, sweetie. We just had it.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Anyway, you saw him for a brief moment, and he's just that one guru that always had a blanket, was wearing a blanket all the time, and he was so cuddly and cozy looking. I always wished I'd been able to meet him. Anyway, that's one thing that's really big in the city of Vrindavan. But the second thing is that it's known as the home to Lord Krishna. He was raised, that was where he spent his childhood. And Lord Krishna is a major deity in Hinduism, and not one that I had explored very much. So I was really excited to just have the feeling in a town, in a community that holds such reverence for him. And I was not disappointed. I will say that he has been worshipped, Lord Krishna, as the 8th avatar of Vishnu. And you all will remember that the Trimurti, Shiva, the destroyer, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Brahma, the creator, are the sort of the three deities and gods that are considered the ones that break things down, create something anew, and then sustain it. And Vishnu is the sustainer. So Lord Krishna played a big part in the understanding of how it is that we sustain that which we have newly created. And so the way that he did it was through this like laughter and joy and playfulness. He was known as sort of a little bit of a prankster. As a child, he loved ghee, which is the clarified butter, and he would steal ghee when they would be cooking in the kitchen. He would go in and steal handfuls of ghee, and he was always dancing and playing and bringing a lot of light and liveliness to life around him. And I didn't even really expect that, but when we arrived and we started moving through the small alleyways, and there are many, many temples that are attributed to him in Vrindavan, everybody was chanting and clapping their hands and smiling and laughing and saying Radhe, Radhe and Hare Krishna. And I was like, wow. We got into a very large temple, and there just thousands of people are in this temple and trying to get in this temple and pushing to get towards the front where the deity is so that they can take darshan, have the deity look upon them. But they're pushing, and the tiniest little women, they'll just knock you right over to get where they're going, but they're all chanting and smiling. So you can't really get upset with them. It was just so precious. And I felt such joy being in the presence of this devotion to Lord Krishna. And I have a profound and new appreciation for the diversity of the gods and goddesses in this culture, that I had a more, my outlook was a little bit more serious about them. And seeing this and experiencing this, I was like, oh, there's like a whole light side, and really enjoyed Krishna. So that was sort of the highlight for my day yesterday. The devotees that follow him, even here, I have to show you. So I got this I wanted to have on my altar. I got a baby Krishna. You can't tell this, but he's like a little in a crawling position, but they dress them up. So I got him, and then he had to come with dresses, little outfits. I was like, oh my God, back to like paper dolls and doll babies. So I dressed him up. And then today I came back into my room when I was out all day. When I came back, the gent on the floor that takes care of this room came and knocked on my door as soon as I got back, and I answered it. And he said, madam. I said, yes. He said, baby Krishna. And I'm looking around. I'm like, what are you talking about? And he came in, and he just came in my room and pointed to this little baby Krishna and started explaining to me about his devotion to Krishna and Vrindavan and how he'd been there and his mantra in broken English. He was so enthusiastic that I had a baby Krishna on my desk. I was like, you just forget how enthusiastic the Indian culture is around the respect and devotion for the deities and for the archetypes and for the myths that go with the Indian culture and the delight that people show in it. And that was just really a reminder to me of how it is that we are always trying to give context to something. And what I really thought was interesting was to start and think, like, why does it matter? Why? I mean, we don't know if Krishna was really a person or not. It's a story. It's a story that comes from a very old epic writing, Indian writing called the Ramayana, 100,000 stanza poem, the largest epic poem in history. And he plays a very key part in it, but it's a story. I mean, it is like reading any historical, religious, spiritual text. There are many pieces to it that we are like, did that really happen? So is it meant to give us guidance just based on the desire of the author to give certain context to how to live your life? What is the meaning to life, the existential questions that we ask? Or is there an actual truth in it? And because myth, legends are really associated with our spiritual journey. Every text that we will pick up, whether it's from the Buddhist tradition or the Christian tradition or the Hindu tradition, we will see that there are these stories and these myths and these belief systems that are woven into the fiber of how it is we live out our lives within that tradition. And I started to really give some thought today to why it is that we need that and how it is that we use it, and how is it that I get stuck when something isn't an absolute truth. If it can't be proven and it can't be historically documented, does that mean that it can't play an important part in my understanding of my human evolution and my move through the different states of my understanding? And so I think that it's important for us to really take a look at mystery in our lives and in our attention to our spirit journey, that woven into the understanding and the large piece of us stepping into the absolute is us believing in mystery, us trusting mystery. Mystery and myths go together. Myths give us some context to hold mystery and that place of not being able to connect absolute, but wanting to believe absolutely. It's really important because our intelligence as humans, we crave proof of everything. And the divine and the existential questions of life don't have absolute truths to them that we can prove. So we use these myths. Joseph Campbell has written a lot about myths. We use these myths that come through these spiritual teachings to be able to give some context so that we can hold on to something as a story that allows us to go into this place of mystery, so we can give meaning to the spiritual journey that sometimes seems very haphazard and random. We struggle with the validity of things that are not relatable into some step-by-step, this is how it happens. We need to know truth on a level that's experiential, but it's experiential through a mystery, not experiential through an absolute. So how do we rely on these stories to be able to give us that sense of a foundation? The mystery of life is the sweetness of life. And when we release ourselves from the need to have an absolute answer to everything, this goes for all aspects of our life, not just our spiritual journey. When we release our need to have and know how things are going to unfold, And what is the truth of that unfolding? We give ourselves spaciousness for sweetness. And when I watched these people, these devotees in Vrindavan, and I saw the amount of sweetness and nectar that was coming out of them in their joy and their association with Lord Krishna, however they were holding them in their consciousness, they were taking away the nectar that he had given of the playfulness, the leela of life, the laughter, the joy, and they were imbuing it into themselves. And whether or not he was an absolute physical manifestation or not, thousands of years ago, doesn't really matter, because they were able to take that myth or that story or that icon that he was being represented as, and take that and have an experience of the transcendent in their bodily experience of life. Really so exquisite, so much fun to watch, and so available to us. This is an interface where we interface between the micro and the macro in reality. The tiniest little thing can actually exist on a larger level if we allow it to, without us having to control how that goes from small to large. So this is really all about surrender. This is how do we learn to surrender into our lives. And I think many of us bring up when we have our check-in time about the challenges that are going on for us. And they typically are related to a place where we aren't in control, whether it's in a relationship or a situation that is unfolding. It doesn't matter what the details of it are. It's generally around us feeling that we have lost some control. And so it's not just a spiritual surrender, it's a life surrender. Excuse me. So we have to incorporate surrender as part of our journey and recognize that, excuse me, as we do that on these different levels in our life, and we can use anything in our life that comes through to surrender to it. It can be what has to happen in our house. We're doing some building and whatever's going on that is working or not working in the construction, or it can be a relationship, or it can be the weather outside or the car that's not working. Surrendering to the small pieces of our life where we are not in control and it's okay. I mean, even Desiree, when you mentioned being able to go on a trip and allowing someone else to organize and take care of the needs that arise, to surrender to that is such a gift that we give ourselves. There's such joyfulness in recognizing that we don't have to be in charge of everything and in control of everything. And this is what I have observed when I watch this culture, and I see how everyone from the taxi cab drivers to the devotees inside of a temple, they're all relinquishing a certain amount of surrender of knowing the absolute truth of the universe, that they don't have to have it proven to them that something joyful existed or that some vision of a deity is not true. They don't have to have it proven. It can be true for them. And I think in our Western minds, we struggle with that because our Western minds, it's not as easy for us to let go of that control of things fitting into a certain form. But there's so much more joy and sweetness when we do let go of that. So if I can suggest anything for us to imagine into, it is utilizing life as our tool for surrender. And anytime something comes up that brings up for us angst or anger or impatience or frustration, that we turn it around, just turn it around and look at it as, this is my surrender. How sweet this came to me today so that I can surrender. It's offering itself up to me because my practice of surrendering is going to offer the nectar and sweetness of life to me. And I don't have to believe anything. I just have to surrender. I can decide tomorrow that it makes sense to me or it doesn't make sense. I can surrender in advance of knowing the answer, that I can trust in advance of having something proven to me. I can surrender to it. I can surrender to it. One of the beautiful passages in the Ramayana that I spoke to that talks a lot about Lord Krishna. I want to share it with you because it's so beautiful. Ram, the king in this story, in this epic poem, who is the hero and the symbol of the absolute. At the end of a very exhaustive battle, this whole story is basically about a battle between good and evil and what we believe and how we let go and surrender. The entire 100,000 not chapters, but stanzas of it are about an epic battle. So at the end of this exhaustive battle, he reveals the stages of the spiritual aspirants, those who were looking to advance their spiritual journey. He asks Hanuman, who is a symbol of the aspirant. He is also another large figure in the pantheon of Indian deities and symbols. He asks Hanuman, he said, "Who are you?" And Hanuman answers on 3 different levels. First, he says, "When I know who I am you. When I don't know who I am, I serve you. And when I am beyond knowing and not knowing, I am Paramatman, the supreme universal truth of oneness." I'm just going to read that one more time. It's just so yummy. When I know who I am you. When I don't know who I am, I serve you. And when I am beyond knowing and not knowing, I am Paramanatmam, the supreme universal truth of oneness. So these are our stages that we move through so that we can move into unity and we can stop our separation from one another and then move from that into the oneness of the universal truth of existence. And this is how we're moving. We are moving on a journey that takes us from the center of ourselves into something that's part of the whole. And it's been taught and studied and looked at forever. But I just love that. When I know who I am you. So I'm going to leave you with that and say that this week, give yourself the opportunity to invite in the surrender that keeps us from fighting against balancing truth against what it is that we know as absolute or not absolute. Allow truth to be less important than the experience, because the experience will unfold the truth. But if we go first as a mental construct of what is true and what isn't true in any situation, this isn't just our spiritual journey, we limit our capacity to experience the fullness of that situation because we've already have a mental construct. Let's let go of it. Let's surrender. Let's let people take care of us. Let's let ourselves have sweetness and nectar in the craziest of situations, in the enjoyment of whatever is passing through your life. Allow it to be the tool and the inspiration and the motivation and the catalyst for us to surrender. Living a life of surrender is so much less demanding of all of us, the whole of us, than holding up an unknown truth that we're somehow striving to hold. So let go of it.